I heard them talking about me through the bathroom door. I hadn't meant to listen. I just stepped in to wash my hands, and the water wasn't running yet. Melissa's voice came first. Mom's place is just easier for everyone. Right, Alan agreed. And honestly, she loves doing it. You know how she is. Then Jenna, the youngest, plus her kitchen is bigger and she already has all the serving dishes. And Mom literally has nothing else going on. I stood there with my hand on the faucet. Not moving. Just frozen. Nothing else going on. I turned the water on cold, let it run over my hands, and stared at myself in the mirror for a long moment. Then I dried my hands, folded the towel back neatly on the rack, walked out to the living room, and smiled. Who wants more coffee? That was the night everything changed. Not loudly. Not dramatically. I didn't flip a table or give a speech. I just decided something, quietly, standing at that sink. And what happened next surprised even me. Let me back up just a little, because context matters here. My name is Eleanor. I'm 68 years old. I live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, in the same house I've lived in for 37 years. I taught high school English for over 3 decades. I retired 2 years ago. My husband Walter passed away 5 years before that, which means I've been running this house alone for 7 years now. The mortgage is paid off. I have my teacher's pension, my Wednesday book club, and my garden. And apparently, nothing else going on. My 3 kids are Melissa, Alan, and Jenna. 9 grandchildren between them. Good people, all of them busy, stretched thin, dealing with jobs and kids and mortgages and soccer tournaments and everything that comes with being in your 30s and 40s in this world. I don't fault them for being busy. I never have. But that Tuesday, the week before Thanksgiving, they'd all driven in for what they called a planning meeting. I made pot roast. They were supposed to be figuring out who was bringing which dishes to Thanksgiving dinner. At my house. Like always. Like every single year for the past 26 years. I stepped away to wash my hands. And I heard everything. When I came back out with the coffee, we talked through the menu like nothing had happened. Green bean casserole, 2 types of stuffing, 3 pies. They divided up the easy stuff, the dishes that could be made ahead, the ones that just needed to be reheated. I got the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the gravy, the rolls. The things that required being at the stove by 6 in the morning. You're sure it's not too much, Mom? Jenna asked. She was already putting her coat on. Of course not, I said. You know me. They left around 9. Alan hugged me at the door. You're the best, Mom. I don't know what we'd do without you. I closed the door. Locked it. Walked through the house turning off lights. In the kitchen, I looked at the notepad where I'd written down the menu. Turkey, $18, serves 8. We'd be 9 this year. Then I went upstairs to my office, the small room that used to be Jenna's bedroom, now converted into my space with a desk and a bookshelf and a window that looks out over the backyard. I opened my laptop. I opened a new spreadsheet. I titled it, Holiday Expenses, 1998 to 2024. And I started pulling up old credit card statements. I didn't sleep much that night. By 3 in the morning, I had numbers. Real numbers. 26 Thanksgivings at an average of $350 each. 26 Christmases at roughly $400. Then Easter dinners, 4th of July barbecues, birthday parties for 9 grandchildren over many years. The food total alone, $63,400. But I wasn't done. I added a second column. Hours. Cooking, cleaning, shopping, decorating. I was conservative, I only counted the major holidays, and I estimated low. 547 hours. At the going rate for a personal chef in Iowa, that came out to around $13,000. Then I added a third column. The loans. Melissa's roof repair. Alan and Heather's business startup. Jenna's car down payment. Every single time, they'd said they'd pay me back. Every single time, I'd said don't worry about it, and then we never mentioned it again. $22,000. Just gone. Not gifts. They'd called them loans. I'd believed them. I sat back and looked at the total. Almost $100,000. And here's the strange thing, I wasn't angry. I really wasn't. I was just clear. Like someone had finally turned on a light in a room I'd been sitting in for years without realizing how dark it had gotten. I wasn't a victim. I'd participated in all of this. I'd said yes every time. I'd poured the coffee and smiled and made the pot roast and folded the towel. I'd done all of it willingly. But willingness isn't the same as wanting to. And wanting to isn't the same as being taken for granted. I saved the spreadsheet, closed the laptop. Then I went downstairs and did something I hadn't planned. I took my grandmother's china out of the dining room cabinet. The full set, service for 12, with the delicate blue pattern around the edges. I'd inherited it 40 years ago. Never broken a single piece. I packed every plate, every bowl, every serving platter, the gravy boat, all of it in bubble wrap and put the boxes in the basement. I'm not entirely sure why I did that first. Maybe I just needed to do something with my hands. Maybe it was symbolic. Maybe I just wasn't ready to say the words out loud yet, so I started with an action instead. Melissa called Wednesday afternoon to ask about cranberry sauce. Actually, honey, I said, I need to talk to you about Thanksgiving. What's up? She was clearly doing something else. I could hear typing in the background. I'm not going to be able to host this year. Silence. What do you mean? I mean, I think it's time for someone else to take a turn. More silence. Longer this time. Mom, Thanksgiving is in 2 days. I know. I'm sorry for the short notice. But, where are we supposed to go? Well, I said, keeping my voice calm, I thought maybe you could host. You have that lovely dining room. Mom, I can't just, Heather and I both work, and we haven't grocery shopped, Anne. I understand it's a lot, I said. It's a lot every year. She didn't catch that. Can't you just do it one more time and then next year we'll definitely figure something else out? No, I said. I don't think so. But I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Are you seriously not coming to Thanksgiving? I didn't say that. I said I'm not hosting. If you decide to host, let me know. I'd love to come. I have to go, she said. Her voice had gone tight. I need to call Alan. She hung up. 20 minutes later, Alan called. Mom, Melissa says you're canceling Thanksgiving. I'm not canceling anything. I'm just not hosting. But you always host. Yes, I said. I do. Long pause. So, what's different this year? I could have told him. I could have said, I heard you. I heard all of you, standing in my living room, talking about how I have nothing else going on. But I didn't. That wasn't the point. The point wasn't to make them feel guilty, it was to stop pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. I'm just ready for a change, I said. A change, 2 days before Thanksgiving. Sometimes that's when change happens. He let out a long, frustrated sigh. The sigh of a man who has a problem he doesn't want and doesn't know how to solve. Okay, fine. I'll talk to Heather. Maybe we can figure something out. That would be lovely, I said. Jenna called an hour after that. She cried. She said I was ruining the holiday. She said the kids would be so disappointed. She said she didn't understand why I was doing this. I almost caved. I genuinely almost said, you're right, never mind, I'll do it. I had the words right there, ready to come out. And then I heard it again in my head. Mom literally has nothing else going on. I'm sorry you're upset, I said. But I've made my decision. She hung up on me. I sat by the phone and waited for them to call back. To push harder. To guilt me into changing my mind. They didn't call. Thanksgiving morning, I woke up at 8. Not 6. 8. I made myself a pot of coffee, went to my sunroom, and read a book. At noon, I made a turkey sandwich. It was a good sandwich. At 1 o'clock, my friend Rosemary from book club called. Eleanor? Are you busy? Not at all. A few of us are doing a Friendsgiving thing at my place. Nothing fancy, just people who don't have family stuff or don't want family stuff. You want to come? I'd known Rosemary for 12 years. We'd talked about books, about our gardens, about local news, about everything. But we'd never really talked about family stuff. Not like this. And yet somehow, she knew to call. I'd love to, I said. There were 8 of us at Rosemary's. Her sister, 3 other women from book club, and 2 men I hadn't met before. Everyone brought something. I stopped at the store on the way and bought a pumpkin pie. We ate at 3. Paper plates. Mismatched chairs around Rosemary's dining table. The turkey was a little dry and the stuffing was from a box. It was the best Thanksgiving I'd had in years. Genuinely. I'm not being dramatic about that, it actually was. Eleanor's a retired English teacher, Rosemary told everyone at some point. She's the only reason our book club doesn't just read romance novels all year. Nothing wrong with romance novels, said one of the men, Edmund, I'd learn his name was. Agreed, I said. I assign them sometimes just to shake things up. We laughed. We talked about books, about travel, about the new cafe downtown that everyone had an opinion about. Nobody asked me to carve anything or clean anything. Nobody needed me to referee a disagreement or manage a seating arrangement. I just sat there and existed as a person, not as a function. At 6, I drove home. My phone had 3 missed calls from Melissa. I didn't call back that night. I made tea, sat in my chair, and went to sleep early and well. Melissa showed up at my door Friday morning at 9. I was still in my bathrobe, drinking coffee at the kitchen table. We need to talk, she said when I opened the door. Come in. I poured her a cup. She didn't drink it. Mom, I don't understand what's going on with you. Nothing's going on. You skipped Thanksgiving. You've never skipped Thanksgiving. I didn't skip it. I spent it with friends. Her face did something complicated, a mix of hurt and confusion and something else I couldn't quite name. You chose your friends over your family. No, I said. I chose myself. She stared at me. What does that even mean? I took a sip of my coffee and set the mug down carefully. It means I'm done hosting holidays. It means if you want to see me on holidays, you can invite me to your house, or Alan's, or Jenna's. That's not fair. Why not? Because you have more room. Your kitchen is bigger. You're retired. You have time. I have time, I agreed. But that doesn't mean I want to spend it cooking for people who think I have nothing better to do. The color drained from her face. You heard us. Yes. She was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was smaller. Mom, we didn't mean. You meant it, I said. Not harshly, gently, actually. And that's okay. You're busy. You have your own lives. I understand that completely. But I have my life too. And I'm allowed to have one. We thought you liked doing it, she said quietly. I did, for a long time. But then it stopped being about gathering together. It started being about convenience. Your convenience. She looked down at her coffee mug. What do you want from us? Nothing, I said. And I meant it. I don't want anything. I don't want an apology. I don't want you to feel bad. I just want you to know that I'm not going to keep doing this. She left without finishing her coffee. I thought that was the end of the conversation. A door closing, maybe some awkward holidays ahead, everyone adjusting eventually. But then Saturday morning came and I heard a knock at my open front door. Grandma? It was Caleb. Melissa's oldest. 17 years old, tall now in a way that still catches me off guard, standing in my doorway looking like he wasn't sure if he should be there. Caleb. Come in, sweetheart. He came in looking nervous, the way teenagers do when they've been sent to do something they didn't entirely ask to do. Mom sent me to apologize, he said. She said she was rude to you about Thanksgiving. Sit down. You want some cocoa? He gave me a look. I'm not 12, Grandma. I know. I'm asking if you want cocoa. He sat down. Okay. I made it the real way, milk, cocoa powder, sugar, on the stove. His mom used packets. When I handed him the mug, he took one sip and his eyes went wide. This is really good. Thank you. He drank quietly for a minute. Then, are you mad at us? No, I said. Honestly. I'm not. Mom said you're being difficult. Maybe I am. He looked at me over the rim of his mug. You're really not going to host anymore? Like, ever, ever? Ever, ever, I confirmed. He nodded slowly. Then he said, good. I blinked. Good, Grandma. Seriously. Those dinners are stressful. You're in the kitchen the whole time. Mom and Aunt Jenna drink wine and argue. Dad and Uncle Alan watch football. We don't actually see you. We just eat your food and leave. I hadn't thought about it from that angle. Not once in 26 years. Last night, he continued, Mom made Thanksgiving dinner. It was kind of a disaster. The turkey was pink in the middle and we had to order pizza. He paused. But Dad helped. And Jenna came over. And we all talked while we were cooking. It was, he shrugged, different. Better, maybe. Something loosened in my chest. Something I hadn't realized was tight. I'm glad, I said. He finished his cocoa, stood up, and hugged me before he left. Real hug. Solid. The kind teenagers give when they actually mean it. After he was gone, I sat at my kitchen table for a while. Not thinking about the spreadsheet. Not tallying anything. Just sitting with what he'd said. We don't actually see you. We just eat your food and leave. December came. I started getting Christmas cards and sent them back. I bought a new book for my trip to Ireland that I hadn't booked yet but was starting to think seriously about. Melissa called to ask if I was coming to their house for Christmas Eve. I said yes. She sounded genuinely relieved, like she'd been bracing for another no. Then Jenna called 2 days later. We're doing Christmas Day at our place. Can you come? That sounds lovely, I said. And then she asked, carefully, like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to, Mom, would you mind bringing your famous apple pie? If it's not too much trouble? I'd be happy to, I told her. Because here's the thing I was learning, there's a real difference between being asked and being expected. Between someone saying would you mind and someone just writing your name next to the hard tasks without checking first. That difference is small in words, but it's enormous in how it feels. Christmas Eve at Melissa's house. Caleb answered the door. Hey, Grandma. Fair warning, it's chaos in here. He wasn't wrong. Melissa and Heather were in the middle of an argument in the kitchen about something I didn't catch. The younger kids were screaming over a video game in the living room. Alan had burned the ham on one side. I could smell it from the entryway. Mom. Melissa spotted me and practically came running. Oh, thank God. Can you help with the? No, I said pleasantly. She stopped. But I brought wine. I held up the bottle. Now, where should I sit? She stood there for a second, genuinely thrown. Then something shifted in her expression and she almost laughed. Living room. I sat with Caleb and his sister Nora and played a card game while the chaos in the kitchen worked itself out. When dinner was finally on the table, we all squeezed in around Melissa's dining room, which, for the record, is a perfectly good dining room. The ham was burned on one side. The green beans were cold. The rolls were from a bag. It was fine. Everyone ate. Everyone talked. After dinner, Melissa caught me alone in the hallway. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I know this isn't what you're used to. It's perfect. It's a mess. It's your mess, I said. You did this. You should be proud of it. Her eyes got shiny. I didn't realize how much work it was all those years. How did you do it? Because I loved you, I said simply. I still do. But I also love myself, and I'm learning that I can do both at the same time. She hugged me. A real, long hug, the kind we hadn't shared in a while. Maybe years. Merry Christmas, Mom. Merry Christmas, baby. I left around 8, drove home through quiet streets with snow starting to come down. Made tea, sat in my chair. My phone buzzed, a text from Rosemary. Dinner at mine tomorrow? Just us book club ladies? No pressure. I smiled and typed back, I'll bring pie. Christmas morning, I woke up without an alarm. Made coffee. Sat in my sunroom and watched the snow. Around 10, Alan called. Merry Christmas, Mom. Merry Christmas, honey. Brief pause. Listen, I wanted to say something. Heather and I were talking and we realized we never paid you back for the business loan. I waited. It was $8,000. We're going to start sending monthly payments. We should have done it years ago, I know that. Thank you, Alan. And we're doing Easter at our house this year. Heather already bought a ham. I felt something warm move through my chest. Quiet and real. That sounds wonderful. I'm sorry we took advantage, he said. The words were slow, like he was choosing them carefully. I don't think we realized we were doing it until you stopped. I know, I said. It's okay. And I meant that too. After we hung up, I opened my laptop one more time. Looked at that spreadsheet. The $100,000, the 547 hours, the loans never repaid. I looked at it for a minute. Then I opened a new file. I titled it, 2025 Travel Budget. And I deleted the old one. Some things don't need to be tracked anymore. At noon I drove to Rosemary's. 5 of us, good food, board games, laughter so loud her neighbor knocked on the wall. Edmund showed up around 3 with his dog and we all walked to the park and back in the cold, the dog running circles around everyone, snow crunching under our boots. This is really nice, I said to Rosemary on the walk back. Really, genuinely nice. She bumped my shoulder with hers. Welcome to your new life. When I got home that evening, there was a package on my front porch. Inside was a framed photo, the whole family from last Easter, me in the center, surrounded by all 3 kids and all 9 grandchildren. On the back, in Melissa's handwriting, we love you. Thank you for everything. We're sorry we forgot to say it. I put it on the mantle. Next to it, I put another photo I'd printed and framed that same week, me and Rosemary and the others at Friendsgiving, all of us laughing around a table that wasn't mine. 2 photos. 2 families. Both real. I didn't have to choose between them, I just had to make enough space in my life for both to exist. In January, I booked 2 weeks in Ireland. March departure. Rosemary was coming with me. Her sister might join us for the 2nd week. When I told Melissa, she said, "That's amazing, Mom. You deserve it." When I told Alan, he said, "Send pictures." When I told Jenna, she cried, but the good kind this time. I'm so sorry we made you feel like you didn't have a life. You didn't make me feel that way, I told her honestly. I let myself feel that way. But I'm learning. Caleb asked if I'd bring him something back from Dublin. Nora wanted a FaceTime call from inside a castle. The younger grandkids asked if Ireland had McDonald's. I told them I'd check. That conversation, all of it, felt better than any holiday dinner I'd hosted in years. No performance, no careful management of everyone's mood. Just my family, talking to me like I was a person with a life worth asking about. Valentine's Day, I got a group text from all 3 kids. A photo of them standing in Melissa's kitchen covered in flour, laughing. The caption said, "Attempting Grandma's famous rolls. Send help." I sent back a heart emoji. Then I sent the recipe. Because there's a difference between being taken for granted and being generous. Between being used and being loved. I know the difference now, and so do they, and that changes everything about how we move forward together. Spring came fast that year. I packed my suitcase for Ireland the week before my flight. The night before I was supposed to leave, all 3 of my kids came over for dinner. Jenna brought lasagna. Alan brought salad. Melissa brought wine and dessert. We ate at my table, the same table that hadn't hosted a single holiday in months. And it felt right. Not like something was missing. Like something had been corrected. Send us pictures, Melissa said when they were leaving. Every day, I promised. I closed the door, locked it, walked through my house turning off the lights. In the kitchen, I stopped and looked at my phone. There was a calendar notification on the screen. Easter at Alan's house. You're invited. Invited. Not expected. Not assumed. Invited. I smiled at that word for a long moment. Then I put the phone down and went upstairs to finish packing, because sometimes the best thing you can give the people you love is the chance to miss you. To realize what you did. To see who you actually are, not just what you provide. I spent 68 years being what other people needed. Wife. Mother. Teacher. Grandmother. Hostess. The woman with the big kitchen and nothing else going on. It turned out I had quite a lot going on. I just needed to let myself go find it. Thanks for listening, and if this story stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to comment and subscribe for more stories about people who finally decided their own life was worth showing up for. The most generous thing you can do for the people you love is refuse to disappear into them.